In the last episode, controversy struck. Okay, so not really, but basically, I picked up an Uncharted game off Vinted. It was a game that had not to be sold separately on it, which is not a problem for anyone, really. Some people like to avoid them because they have that little yellow thing at the front. It kind of mars the artwork a little bit. But it doesn't have any effect on the game itself, and CEX take them, we know this. So when I took it in with two other games, City Skylines and Lara Croft Temple of Osiris, I didn't expect to have a problem, but I got one. The member of staff in question said he couldn't take it because it didn't have a barcode. I have since discovered, and to be honest I kind of knew at the time, that he was just being lazy and couldn't be arsed typing it into the system. Because yes, I took it today and there wasn't an issue. I did see the same member of staff actually that rejected it in the first place, so I sidestepped him, went to a different member of staff who was more than happy to take it, didn't question it, didn't even take a second glance at it, didn't care, and we got the credit. That gave me £6 in credit as opposed to the 8 that I would have had he took it at the time, which is really frustrating because he's done me out of £2 there for absolutely no reason. But with that being said, we can now add £6 to the credit that we have in the series, which takes us, I think, if I'm going off memory here, just shy of £100. I am going to add to that yet again today. And yes, it is going to be through Vinted because Vinted is a gold mine. You can find anything on there, you just need to have the right filters and, like I said, the patience, and a lot of it is to do with being in the right place at the right time. So in rather traditional fashion, I can't remember how much I paid for this because I am useless. So this is me again being useless, trying to open a package. I have scissors, it's plastic, and I still can't open it. So anyway, it will be on screen for you in just a second how much I paid for it. I just want to show you the games first. We can't ruin the reveal, but two games in here, they were worth just that little bit more before they arrived, and unfortunately the price changed during transit. Can't really do much about that, but it's still a good deal nonetheless. The first one, believe it or not, is going to be the Uncharted collection. Now this one doesn't have not to be sold separately, so I knew I could absolutely, there you go, got the barcode, I could absolutely trade that in no problem, and they took that as well as the other Uncharted, no questions asked. And the other game is one that I've actually never heard of. This is Ark Park. This is a VR required game, so not one that I could even remotely test if I wanted to, but this did trade in for 13. And the Uncharted collection, or Drake's Uncharted collection I should say, traded in for 8 originally, but the Uncharted game, as we know, has dropped to 6, and Ark Park dropped from 13 to 12, and of course what I've paid has been on screen for you for a little bit, so not a bad deal. Definitely could have been better. We could have had that extra £3 in credit that I would have had the prices stayed the same when I originally purchased them, but I don't think that is a bad price to pay for what was essentially £18 in credit, and of course the other 6 from the Uncharted means that we are now up to around 118-ish in credit, which is pretty damn good. That was money spent. We need to make that back somehow, so I'll go over that in just a second. Why don't you use the cash to try and find a Series X that is going to be far cheaper than what CEX are selling it for? And I hear you, and it makes perfect sense what you're saying, and I have thought about it. And whereas I am not 100% sold on using the credit to buy a Series X, there is a 5 to 10% part of me that is kind of leaning toward that. Let's use the cash. We've got the New Balance shoes and the Exeter City shirt and blah blah blah. Once all that sells, we will have more cash than we have CEX credit, which is crazy. And I know a lot of people are also saying, you're not going to sell it for this, you're not going to sell that for that. And it is what it is. It'll sell for what it sells for. I'm not going to lose money. I know that. I've been doing this long enough. It's just a case of waiting and finding the right buyer. I'm not going to undercut myself in order to just get it gone quickly, just so that we can progress with the series. I'll do it a little bit, but I'm not going to go overboard. So just know, I am aware, and at the moment, I'm still going to go for the credit, because I would rather use the cash for other things, like going to retro video game stores and buying up Mega Drive games and stuff. But that is going to be something that we do later on in this series when the cash actually comes in. I want that cash in my hand before I go and spend what I don't have yet, if that makes sense. So how do I pay for those games I just picked up? Are we going to go even further into the minus and just have to wait? No, because I sold something. In the last episode, I think I picked up the Simpsons Hit and Run case manual, and of course the insert didn't have a disc. A subscriber kindly sent this to me in like part of a very, very unbelievably cheap deal. The case was cracked in transit, unfortunately, but that didn't seem to matter because I got $8.95 for it on Vinted, which of course pays for what we've bought there. Don't have to worry about Uncharted and Ark Park costing us a penny because Simpsons Hit and Run has essentially paid for it, and there was a couple of quid left over, which is essentially Vinted balance, but I'm just going to withdraw it and we can tot up the cash to whatever it is on screen for you now. First visit of the day to CEX. Look at the glass. They are making improvements. Fair play to this CEX. This is my local. Look at the Sega Saturn games that they have. I have never seen so many Sega Saturn games in my life inside a CEX store. And not only do they have some, they have the best one. They have Die Hard Arcade, and you have no idea how much I loved that game growing up. And that, my friends, is something that I am very, very tempted to spend that credit on. I don't have a Sega Saturn, but I absolutely 100% will pick one up in the future, but it's not anywhere near the top of my list right now. Like, I have Mega Drive games to pick up, of course I have that Series X at the top there, and I want to flesh out my Xbox 360 collection, and I want to move into Xbox One games and pick them up while they're still very, very cheap. And then there's something like a Sega Saturn underneath that. And of course, in amongst that, there's PS4, PS5 games that I still want to pick up. So it is on the list, but it's right at the back of my mind. But Die Hard Arcade is the best Sega Saturn game. And some people may have different opinions on that, of course. But it is such a good game, but it's not a cheap game. So this one in my local store is Die Hard Arcade with manual, and they want £95, which I actually think is a touch under what it was the last time I looked, maybe. I don't know whether it was maybe slightly less or maybe it was slightly more. I can't remember. I haven't looked in a long time. But they have one. It's in the glass. The spine of it looked decent, but that would be nearly all of the credit. But I do find it really, really reassuring, and I'm very happy that I've managed to build up £118 worth of credit. And I know for you guys it might seem like it's taking ages to get there, but for me, £118 built up that quickly is really, really positive to the fact that I don't have to buy this right now. It'll go on the shelf as like the only Sega Saturn game that I own. I own Worldwide Soccer 97 and 98, and they are sort of just placed at the top of my Mega Drive shelf. And this would just go alongside it, and I wouldn't have any way of playing it, so I don't really need to get it right now. But like I said, I find it reassuring that I can build up that much credit that quickly, that I know that I'll be able to get this in the future, and it's not that big a deal. Remember I said that my Asda used to have this sort of clearance shelf? Well, guess what? They've now got a clearance, what is this? Standee, if you will. I was really happy to see this when I walked in. Unfortunately, even though there are some decent things here, and I maybe thought about it for a second, I did decide to walk away with nothing. But they had Spider-Man, new and sealed, of course, for £12.50. They sell this for £15 in CEX, so that's a good deal. Star Wars, whatever the hell this is, double pack, £11.50. Again, not too bad. I think it's £12 in CEX. Peppa Pig on the Switch. I don't know whether that is the digital or the physical. Could have asked. £9 for it if it's the physical is very good, because I think it's like 15 quid or something, or maybe even more, 20 something in CEX. I can't quite remember, but I left it because I couldn't be bothered. It was so busy. Bank Holiday Monday is mental. I did pick up F1, and I will show you in just a second more about that. Another digital Switch game, as I'm showing you the price of that F1. So F1 on the PS5, and indeed here as I go and pick it up on the PS4, I think it's the same price. It's around 11 quid. So is that a good deal? And I looked it up because I thought maybe that would be a good deal. Now, it's not bad. I can't quite remember the trade price on this. It might be 15 or 14. So you could, turn 11 into like 13, 14, maybe £15 in credit, which is not bad. As I looked around a few of the other games and there wasn't anything really stand out to me. The clearance section is going to be what I look at every single time I walk into Asda from now on. But those F1 games were not bad in terms of if you want them, you want to play them, you want them for your collection, maybe you want to give them as a present. They were a very good pickup for £11. And I did think about maybe picking it up and just keeping it. but it wasn't a game that I like desperately need and or want. Although now that I really think about it, now that I'm stood here, I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm actually kind of in the mood to play an F1 game. I do like them, but I don't play them enough to justify buying them, if that makes sense. I just want it there, maybe digitally, that I can just chuck on every now and again. Maybe you could put them on eBay and make a £5. I'm sure someone would pay 15 quid for F1 23 on the PS5, brand new and sealed, but I decided to leave it. I'll leave it for people who actually want to pick it up and play it themselves, put it into their collections. Wasn't enough on it for me to be able to make anything, so there's no point. And then we head to the boot sales. This I'm a little bit, not angry, just disappointed. I should have bought these, but I didn't. Now, maybe not all of them, and I could have stood there and looked through them all, but the Star Wars, they're all Star Wars. Star Wars Complete Saga on the 360, the Lego, is a good deal. All these were £2 each, which is not bad, apart from Minecraft, which was a £5. But the rest of them were £2 each. Now that Complete Saga on the right there, that is a decent game. I don't mean decent indecent to play, although I have played it, and I don't think I 1,000 pointed it. I think I got like 900 and something. I missed something. I couldn't be bothered to go all the way back and do it. But it sells for £8 in CEX. They trade it in for a £5, and they actually give you £3 in cash. So I could have picked that up for £2 and even made a £1 profit, or could have traded it in for a £5, and it wouldn't have been a bad deal. Or could have put it into the collection. The rest of the Lego games were about between £4 and £5 in CEX. So if I wanted them for the collection, I could absolutely have picked all of those up, put them all into the collection, and it would have been a huge saving. I don't really know why I didn't look them up. I know Lego games have value. I know none of them are worth pennies. So why I didn't look any of those games up, I don't know. This was right at the beginning of the boot sale. I had enough cash with me that I could have bought these, all of them, maybe even thrown out an offer. Surely would have taken it, why not? And then I would have had money left to go to my games guy, which we go to, and I could have gone to the other sellers and had more than enough to pick up other things. So answers on a postcard why I didn't try and make a deal or pick them up or even look them up. I just glanced at them and thought, well, there's nothing I want there. And even with that being said, I don't necessarily not want these games. Star Wars Complete Saga is actually a game I want to put into the collection. So why I didn't buy them is frustrating me talking about it. Let's move on. There was an altercation at this boot sale regarding my games guy. I don't know the ins and outs. I missed it, so I can't really speculate. But he was reluctant to put anything out for some reason. I think he got, I can't remember what he said, I think he got told off by the organisers because he parked up. It started raining, in fairness to him, so he didn't want to put things out because it was going to get wet. It makes sense. And the rain wasn't light either. We actually thought we were going to have to bin it off and go home again. But it stopped, thankfully, and everybody started sort of putting this stuff out again. But he got, quote-unquote, told off for not setting up. And I think he got annoyed to the point where he was like, do you know what, screw you guys, I'm going to put the bare minimum out and I'm going home. So he only put these boxes out here. He had a few like old bits to the right that I wasn't really that bothered with, but he put these out. He didn't put the 360 games out, which is actually what I wanted to look at, so I was a little bit annoyed by that. But I'm looking at these games. I'm pointing out to my wife that guy is an EastEnders. I'm looking at a few games here, and one or two of them caught my eye. Didn't know what the hell that was. Put it back. Two of them. So first one was Football Manager 24. I really like Football Manager. I'm not a big fan of playing it on a console, although I did on a PS2 once, and I had a really, really good time with that. But I looked at it and I thought, I wonder if he's quote-unquote cheap, on the price or something. And he shot out a price at me and he said 25 for that one. Now, they've not really done too many of the FMs on console, but I'm pretty sure that they will release FM25 on console, and they will continue and continue. FM is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so this game in a year or two is going to be buttons in CEX. But right now, to be fair to him, £25 is a good deal because it's going to cost you £35 if you pick it up in CEX. But as it's a yearly release, it's likely to come down, and when it does, it'll come down fast, and then it'll be worth far less than this. I actually asked him about Ride 4 as well. Now this one he got completely wrong. He said 20 for Ride 4, and I knew that was high. I really want to play one of the Ride games because graphically they look so realistic. I'm not a massive fan of like motorbike racing or anything, but I can appreciate when a game looks good, and Ride looks very good. But for 20, he had it way overpriced. I think it's 12 in CEX, and the new one, Ride 5, is also out right now. So walked away, didn't have his 360 games out. I was a little bit disappointed. But finally, I found something worth buying. It's nothing too amazing, but it is a 360 game. Is it a pro? Did you find a pro? No, I didn't find a promo game. Leave me alone. So, little stack here. This guy has everything. He just random bits. There is a tub on the floor that he's looking at there that is full of like PS3s and controllers and stuff, and I will have a very quick look at that in a second. But this is what I've spotted straight away. This is the Oblivion Game of the Year edition. I had one of these not that long ago. It was the German version, which actually sold for like £9. Looked at this and thought, that's not bad. I don't have that in my collection. Maybe there's something I can do. A few other games going on here, but nothing out of the ordinary that I don't have, and nothing too expensive. So I asked the question, how much is this? I don't know if I have the audio. If I do, I'll throw it in. How much did you have on the games? So he said £2, and I thought, that's a deal. You know, even if I can sell it for a £5, I've more than doubled my money. It's nothing amazing, but, you know, it's worth picking up. The discs were in good enough condition. On the floor, he had a box that he was about to put onto the table, PS4, PS3s, controllers. I asked him about one of the controllers. I said, are you selling any of these separately, or are they all just going to go with the consoles? And he said he was going to put them all with the consoles, despite the fact that he had like 7 controllers and 2 consoles. A little bit frustrating, but that's fine. So I picked up Oblivion. So I do have a few options here. The first option is going to be to just sell this for like a tenner, or even trade it in to CEX. They give me £6 in credit, which is literally tripling my money at that point, which is not a bad thing to do, and I did consider it. However, I'm going to put this into the collection because I don't own it. This one, which is mine, has a few issues. So the first one is that it's not the game of the year. That's glaringly obvious. The other issue is that the disc is a classics disc. Now, I pointed this out in the video that I picked this up in, but that is slightly frustrating. The good thing about it, though, it comes with the map, and it's in unbelievably good condition. This Game of the Year edition doesn't have the map with it, although it does have the manual. The frustrating thing is that the manual here is got a little bit of a rip on it, and I know you're thinking we'll just swap the manuals. This manual has Game of the Year written on it, the other one doesn't, and I kind of want to keep them with each other. Otherwise, I absolutely would, because I don't think there's much of any difference between the manuals. It's literally that one says Game of the Year on it and the other one doesn't. But the map from this will go into my Game of the Year edition, and this one will go into the sale pile. Now, this is only £1.50 in CEX, so if I lob it up on Vinted, for example, for £2, do you think I'm going to sell it? Probably not. I'm going to get loads of messages going, this is cheaper in CEX, because that happens a lot. So what I might do, I might list it for £2 just on the off chance. However, I know that I'm probably not going to sell it, and in the future I will be able to bundle it with a couple of other 360 games that I have as duplicates. Back into the boot sale we go. This is something that not a lot of people would have the patience for, myself included. So this is a box full of Sims games. There are a few others like World of Warcraft and stuff, but the Sims do have some value. Not all of them. The expansion packs mainly. Some of them will sell for a very nice amount of money. You just have to go to CEX, have a little look through the ones that they have valued higher, and then you know you can either sell them on eBay or you can take them to CEX and trade them in. Back to another seller. This is actually the woman that I bought the anniversary edition PlayStation 4 controller from a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, why not have a look at the games? They didn't have the games out last time, so there may be something in here that I could find. I am, of course, looking for promo copies. I really need to stop it though, and I need to just go, look, I've got some cash here, let's just buy some games, because that MX vs ATV, I want that game at some point. Why not, right? Why didn't I just ask how much it is? If they said £1, it's worth it. There's a few other games in there that maybe I would buy. I am actually looking at the Connect games as well, because I know you can get Connectimals or whatever it's called as a promo copy, and I did think about it, and if it was there, I would definitely have bought it. This is a DVD player. It's pink. I was hoping it would be like Barbie or something. It isn't. I'm not saying you can't make money off that. You absolutely can, but I left it. Then I found a DJ Hero, which is something that I have a love-hate relationship with. I have played this to death. I actually do enjoy it. I prefer the Guitar Hero, of course, but the last one I had, I snapped over my knee because I got really, really annoyed. I'm not that kind of person anymore, but back in the day, I used to lob controllers at TVs and all sorts. My wife is buying that gizmo from Gremlins because she absolutely loves it. Pops are another way of making some good money, of course, but they're very volatile. They can go up and down all over the place. The problem with this DJ Hero is I don't think it's worth an awful lot. I will have the price of it on screen for you from CEX. The biggest problem with this one in particular was that the battery compartment had massive corrosion. I asked how much it was and she wanted a £5. But the really not confusing thing for me, because I know it's not meant to come with leads or anything, it's just that's it, right? You put batteries in it, you connect it to your console, job done. She said, I don't have the leads for it, so I'll sell it for a £5. There are no leads, so I don't really know what she thought was meant to come with it. But either way, she had some games on the table as well, and Syndicate here was one that I considered, but I decided to leave it. I actually thought I'll look that up in a minute, because I didn't really know an awful lot about it, and then I forgot, and then I walked away. This stall, unfortunately, didn't have anything that I was really looking for. Only a couple of 360 games, Pure, a Call of Duty, and a Saints Row. I don't actually think I have Saints Row, the first one. I have the third, maybe the fourth, can't remember. But looking through, tubs of wires and controllers and stuff, and to be fair, PS2 controllers are actually worth a fair bit. Definitely worth picking up if you can find them. Had a look for some games here. I know of a few that are worth a little bit, but nothing really stood out to me, so I decided to walk away. There's a Wii Sports there, left that. And of course there were some PS3 games, but as you know, I don't really care at all about PS3, so I walked away from that stall as well, and that was my boot sale experience for the weekend. After the boot sale had finished and we'd walked away and I was having time to sort of reflect, and I had a quick look at the footage just to see if everything was compos mentis, if you will. And yeah, I glanced through the games and I looked up a few of them and I was like, they were well worth picking up. So would I have spent 16 quid on Lego 360 games? Probably not, but then I could have just shot out an offer of 12. Would they have taken it? I don't know, because I didn't shoot the offer, obviously. But there is a very fair chance that I could have said, how much do you want for the whole thing? There was a Minecraft in there as well. Now, I didn't want it, but for a £5, that's actually a pretty good price, because it's 12 quid on the 360. They trade it for 8. You can get a £5 cash for it. So, had I bundled it all together, 20 quid, yeah, that's fine. Could have sold Minecraft, could have sold a couple of the other games I wasn't interested in. Everything else could have gone into the collection, and I'm an idiot. And I know this. While I was in CEX earlier today, trading in my games, I did have a little flick through the Xbox 360 section. There it is in all its glory. There is a PS5 section at the end there that I'm forced into prematurely by another customer. But I'm looking through for, promo games. Did I find any? No. But I did notice a few other things, and I did have a video planned on stuff like this, and it's the prices of these games. They are going up. Very few are remaining where they are, and hardly any are coming down. So it's definitely worth noting, and I've been saying it for a long time, but 360 is well overdue for a huge price increase. The PS3 had their huge price increase, and to be fair, their games are still going up as well, but they had their big price increase when their store closed. And it had all that people panicking, oh, I'm not going to be able to play this, that, and the other. So it's going to be the same thing, and kind of is, that we are not that long away now from the 360 store from closing down. And in fact, if you go on there now, you will find it quite difficult to download certain games already. They started delisting things before they've even closed down the entire store. This is worth noting as well. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Now, I don't know anything about this game. I know I've seen the film, or one of the films. It's fine. I didn't have a problem with it. But this is going into the new Epic Universe land in Orlando. And they're going to have their own land, inside the theme park. So it's probably going to spike in price when that comes closer. And from what I've seen of it so far, because they released a trailer the other day, it looks unreal. And once people start to get there and experience that, I think everything How to Train Your Dragon will go up in price. Family Guy up to 20 now. That was 12 once upon a time. It's just crazy. Lego games on the mid shelf there taunting me. Didn't look at them because I would just cry. A few other games worth looking at, but like I mentioned, everything on the 360 right now is kind of going upwards. There's peaks and troughs with everything, and they may drop by £2 here or there, but ultimately they'll always keep progressing forward. And I'm seeing it a lot now more recently with 360 games. It's not just one or two, it's nearly everything on the platform, Very quick look at the PS5 section. I hadn't actually finished in the 360, but I was kind of moved along. So a lenticular cover, slip cover on this Street Fighter, which looked quite cool. There's like 3 variants of that game. There's the standard, the slip cover, and then the steelbook. They have a Source of Madness. This is the first super rare game I've ever seen on a PS5. I didn't obviously know they exist. They exist on the PS4 as well. That game I have on the Switch, of course. I've not played it, still sealed. But £38 for it. Didn't think it was too bad, actually. Ronin. This must be brand new. It's 60 quid. That is a pricey game. I think I just saw it in Asda though. There's Ride 5. Yeah, I think in Asda it was about 60, 65, so I don't suppose it's too bad. But there is something in particular that I want to point out here. And it was one game that I genuinely couldn't believe it was that expensive. Hogwarts is £28. Now it's down massively. It's actually cheaper on the PS5 than it is on the Xbox. You don't see that very often. But a game that is much more expensive on the PlayStation 5 than it is on the Xbox, Dead Space. I couldn't believe that. 30 quid for this game on the PS5. I'm not saying it's not worth it. During Black Friday, during the January sales even, that game was nowhere near 30. It brand new on Amazon, it was right down in price. I can't quite remember how much it was, but it was much, much cheaper than that. I went back to look at the 360 games because the customer had moved out of the way. I had considered maybe just spending some cash here to pick up some games to put into the collection, but I refrained from doing so. I am not going to be spending cash on games in CEX at the moment, unless they are promo copies, and of course we're not spending that credit, we've already mentioned that. That price difference between the PS5 and the Xbox One is mental, but here it is in all its glory. I couldn't believe it, man. Look at that, 10 quid. I know people don't collect physical on Xbox, I get it, but for it to be £20 in difference for the exact same game is absolutely why I want to pick up an Xbox. I want to collect physical. I don't care that they're available digitally, and I don't care that it's cheaper. I think that's very cheap as well, £38. I'm pretty sure it was much more expensive on the PS5. For the exact same game to be £20 difference on 2 different platforms is just ludicrous. I can't get my head around it. Available digitally or not, it doesn't make any sense to me. We have progressed with regards to credit. We have actually added something, and I do have some more things on the way. And I've done a deal with a subscriber who is, hopefully anyway, going to send me some really nice things that I can show off in another video. I have paid for them. It's not free or anything. However, I am quite excited to get my hands on them, and I will show you everything that I've managed to pick up, including those other games to trade in the next episode. If you went game hunting over the weekend, let me know how it went in the comment section. If you want to check out another video from me, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.